Hi, this is Molly. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Purpose, where we talk about just that. What's our purpose on this planet? Why are we here? Well, I think it's to love God and love each other. Plain and simple. Hardest thing ever to do. And we just finished up talking about Adam and Eve. And when we were in a couple of videos ago, we talked about their punishment for eating the apple off the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and I chickened out. I wasn't going to talk about Eve's punishment that her husband was going to rule over her. And that's just not going to be how I do these videos. I'm just going to say what I think. And if you don't agree with it, that's okay. You don't have to. The Bible is an interpretation. That's all it is, no matter who you're listening to. It's an interpretation. And until we talk to the author, the big guy himself, we don't really know anything in it. Now, there's some things, boy, we've got a really, really good guess. Pretty sure this is the way it is. Some things we're like, yeah, I'd say that's the way it is. Some things we're a little iffy on. And some things in the Bible we just don't know. We don't know. We're taking an educated guess. And maybe this is one of those things, this part about her husband ruling over her. Now, here's what I think. And this is life according to Molly. You can take it or throw it away. I think there's a lot of layers with this line. One of them might be that the relationship between Adam and Eve is not going to be the same. It's going to have some trouble. They were living in perfect harmony together. They never fought. Why? Because they trusted God completely. They trusted God to take care of them, and they never had to be the one that I'm right, you're wrong kind of thing. And then sin entered their hearts. And now suddenly, boy, I'm going to protect me. I'm going to watch out for number one. And, you know, if I can help you, great, but I'm looking out for me. And everybody's got to be right. You know, I can't let somebody else get one up on me. I've got to be right. Instead of just saying, no, God's the one in charge of everything. He's right. I'm just doing what he tells me to do as best I can, which is loving people. And I think that was a problem that Adam and Eve had. They weren't in complete union with God anymore. So their relationship with each other wasn't going to be as good, it's going to be harder. And that trickled down to now everyone in the world. Our relationships with our husbands and wives and moms and dads and brothers and sisters and cousins and neighbors, it's all way more complicated because we have sin in us, because we want to be right, because we don't want anybody taking advantage of us, because we don't want anybody hurting us, and we don't trust God as much. Another thing I think about this is there's a lot of talk all over the Bible, and we'll get to it in later chapters, about Jesus being the bridegroom. And that's because God's trying to relate this relationship between God and humans so that we can understand it. So he uses marriage as an example so we kind of can understand this relationship between us and God. Jesus is the bridegroom, the church is the bride. Who's the church? What's the church? Is Jesus married to a building? Which building? There's a lot of churches. The church is a living thing. It's us. We are the church. I'm the church. You're the church. Jesus is the bridegroom. I'm the bride. And it's not like a human marriage where, you know, hopefully you love each other, but you're sure going to get mad at each other and you're going to fight, and hopefully you'll be there through thick and thin, but you're going to let each other down and that sort of thing. No, with Jesus, it's perfect. He loves you every second of every day. He might get disappointed in you. He might even be angry in you, but it's because of love. It's out of love. He never stops loving you. He's always got your back. Every second of the day, Jesus has got your back. He's holding your hand all the time. You just have to close your eyes and see him there. He's with you. He won't leave you ever. He's there through thick and thin until the end when you're back with him again. He will not leave you. It's a covenantal relationship. Just like a marriage is a covenant between a man and a woman, and they sign like a contract kind of thing when they get married. It's a covenantal relationship with God. Maybe the husband God was talking about when he was punishing Eve and said, your husband shall rule over you, was him. He will rule over you. And it's not as a power, dominance, you will do as I say kind of thing, because God is pure love. God would never ask a woman to be subjugated by a man, or a wife to be subjugated by a husband. He would never allow or promote somebody to enslave another person, or to dominate another person, or rule over them out of power and greed and selfishness. God would never ask that. He would never ask a husband to dominate a wife out of power, ever, because God is pure love, and it would not happen. But God knows everything. And he wants us to get back to him more than anything in the world. And Eve, when she ate the apple, thought she knew more than God. She wanted to know as much as God. She wanted to be like God. Why would you want to be like God? Because you don't want to need him. What if he hurts you? You don't want to need God. What if he lets you down? Everybody else lets you down. What if God lets you down? So you want to take things into your own hands. You want to take control of your own situation. You don't want to trust God with it because he might get it wrong. He might mess it up, right? The person we love who's sick might not get better. We can't trust God. That's what we think. That's not what I really think is true. But anyway, God didn't want Eve to eat the apple of the knowledge of good and evil, because we don't know what's in other people's hearts, because we're not God. So we can't know what's right or wrong. We have to trust that to God. We don't know. We know what we think, but that's based on our own limited knowledge. Let me give you an example here. And this video might go over 10 minutes. An example, let me think of one. Going to church. So you might have Johnny, who goes to church every Sunday, boy, and he's like the first one there and the last one out. He's like the Marines of the church, there all the time, and he's volunteering and everything, every committee he's on it, boy, and he's chatting to everybody. He's just such a nice guy. Oh, we love that Johnny. Johnny's good people. Yep, he's a good Christian. And then we have Jim. Jim comes every week. He sits in the back of the church. He doesn't talk to anybody. He might be on a committee or two sometimes, but not very often. And nobody really thinks about Jim. Now, if you were to ask somebody going to that church, who's the better Christian, Johnny or Jim? They're probably going to say Johnny, because they can't see in their heart. What if the only reason Johnny's going to church and being on all those committees and talking to all those people is his own greed? Because he's trying to move up a ladder at work. He wants people to think he's a good person, but really he leaves church and screams at his family the whole way home. Maybe hits his wife when they get there. He's not listening when he's in church. He's not trying. He doesn't even believe in God. You don't know what's in his heart. And then there's Jim, has the best relationship with God you can imagine. He's a quiet person because he doesn't need to use a lot of words. You don't have to talk a lot. We don't know what's in people's hearts. We can't decide right from wrong. God can. I mean, we can decide right from wrong when it's against the law. You know, it's wrong to drink and drive, that kind of thing. But we can't be judgy about people and say you're right or I'm right and you're wrong, because we don't know. So maybe God was saying, referring to himself as the husband, and God's going to rule over us because he only wants what's best for us. He only wants us to return to him. That's his only goal. Get us back to him. Have us love him the way he loves us. Love him. And if you look at it that way, not so bad. If you look at it as we have trouble with people on this earth, we have trouble with our spouse because we don't trust God, because we're not giving things to Him and trusting in Him that He's going to do what's best for us, then maybe it makes a little more sense. I hope this makes sense. And if you're a person that's in an abusive relationship, or somebody's dominating you and controlling you, that is not what God wants. That is not what God means in the Bible here. I will bet money on that. I will bet my life on it, because God is truly 100% love. And He would never want someone to abuse somebody by controlling them. No, that's not the way that works. So, that's what I think about that. I had a lot more I was going to say about it, but I've already gone over my 10 minutes and I don't want to put you to sleep. I think that's what I have to say about husbands ruling your wives. So as you're going throughout your day to day, maybe think about relationships that are a little rocky in your life, people you're not really getting along with. Think about times that you think, I'm right, you're wrong. Why do you have to be right? Why do they have to be wrong? Why can't we ask God to put wisdom in our hearts so we can understand the situation better? Why can't we both be right? Or why can't we be more understanding? When we're in bad relationships, when we are mad at people, when we don't agree with people, ask God what you should do. Turn to Him. Ask Him, what do I do, God? I don't agree with this. Put wisdom in my heart. Help me understand. Well, today's video is a little more serious because it's a serious topic. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm not going to skip over the hard stuff anymore. If people don't agree with me, that's okay. You don't have to. I might be wrong. What do I know? I don't know. But I hope that you got a little grain of information out of this today, and I hope I wasn't just rambling, because it made sense in my head, but it may not have come out right. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day today, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.